This is TWiT.
Hey, buddy, are you a geek? Are you a tech enthusiast? Then I would love to invite you to join a tech community like no other. You can gain exclusive access to our incomparable quality tech content with Club TWiT. As a member, you'll enjoy all TWiT TV shows ad-free. Plus, access private video feeds for insider shows like iOS Today, Home Theater Geeks, and so much more. Dive into the members-only TWiT Plus bonus feed for behind-the-scenes content, club discussions, and special events. But here's the best perk. Join our incredible Discord community to watch live show productions, chat with hosts, and participate in exclusive members-only activities. It's your backstage pass to the world of TWiT. Whether you're a tech enthusiast or a lifelong learner, Club TWiT elevates your knowledge while entertaining your interests. Get 2 weeks free when you sign up now and unlock unparalleled access at twit.tv/clubtwit. That's twit.tv/clubtwit. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you and welcome to the club. Hey, everybody, clubbers and one and all. It's nice to see you all for a special Stacey's Book Club now on Fridays. In fact, I'm going to do all my things on Fridays because I have piano lessons on Thursdays. So all of from now on, all of the club stuff that I'm doing is going to be on a Friday. Micah likes to do his on Wednesday. You know, we like to spread the joy throughout the week. Stacey's Book Club is an every other month, every third month kind of thing with Ms. Stacey Higginbotham. Let me say hello to you. Hi, Stacey.
Hey, everybody. Yay,
looks like you got a forest out your window, so you're actually living this. I'm trying to put it on my little screens behind me.
I'm living in the forest.
And today we're going to let Joe join us as well from the club, because Joe is always here for the book club, and he reads the books, and he shares, I think, with you, Stacey, a certain appreciation for a certain type of book.
Ones that you may not enjoy and or
The
find boring or too artsy.
No, not at all. By the way, I know you both are very excited tonight. Murderbot premieres on Apple TV Plus. So
I think it might even also be already there. But y'all, this was the first book club, and for anybody who's been here that whole time, thanks for sticking with us. I hope you've had fun.
Yeah.
That's all. I'm so I feel so excited that Murderbot's here.
It looks like a good dramatization. It stars one of my favorite actors, Alexander Skarsgård. So I think I have high hopes for it, and the reviews I think are very good so far. The geek reviews, anyway. So I
feel like I was concerned when they cast him because my Murderbot was maybe a more feminine, non-binary person. So I was like, what?
Right. This is not. He is not a non-binary person. He is a very much a male sex symbol. So that should be interesting. I haven't read the books yet. And you know what? They're free on Audible for me as a membership level I have. So I put it in my library, and it's only a couple hours for the first one. Yeah,
they're all the first 4 or 5 are novellas.
So I'm going to try to, I think this is proper. You tell me, read it before I watch the show. Yes? Seems like that's the right thing to do.
I've never been a huge dogmatic person about that whole thing. I'm do what works for you.
Yeah. Well, there is no dramatization yet of the Ursula K. Le Guin novella, The Word for World is Forest. It would make an excellent movie.
Oh my God, I would never watch it. I would cry the whole time.
You think is it sad for you? I loved it, by the way. Thank you.
It's not. It's horror. I can't watch horrible things. I have a really hard time. It has a somewhat
happy ending, right? By the way, if you're tuning in and you haven't read the book, just be aware there'll be spoilers in it. This is not a book, I think, that matters so much with spoilers. Be my instinct. I don't know if you guys agree. There's no real surprises.
There's a plot.
Yeah.
But you're right. The things you're thinking about. The whole time I'm like, God, the humans aren't actually human.
Yeah. Yeah.
The humans are the worst. Which is common. And the monk, what did they have a name? Did the species, or I thought of them as little
Athletians, or I could never say it correctly. They do, but
it's
you can call them.
I listened to it, so I should be able to pronounce it, but I can't even remember because I listened to it a little while ago. This came out in 1972.
I pictured Ewoks. Okay,
Yes.
that's
Except
So
they have
I'm
green
like,
fur, green furred Ewoks.
green fur. But I'm just like, why would you murder these things? And the guy is like in some ways it felt like the main captain character who starts off the book and is so virulently awful. He reminded me of almost every like guy in my Texas high school.
So let me give you
like,
the little outline before we get too deep into the details of this. It is a first contact in a way, not first contact, but it is a alien species meets human beings story. It's really about colonization, actually. The humanoids that we represent, although there are a variety of them in this, which is kind of interesting, have arrived at a planet that is populated by green fur monkey-like creatures, which they assume, they're monkeys. They're not particularly bright. They're brighter than like cows, so they harness them very quickly, basically enslave them because they're non-aggressive. They're the Athsheans, and have them help them build their colonies. Their plan is to raise all the forest. The planet is heavily forested, is to raise the forest because it turns out wood is very valuable on Earth because we've already taken all our forests.
We've already
out.
taken all of our forests.
So the wood it's actually like mining for gold. So they're gonna raise the forests and then put crops in where the forest used to be. There's a little twist here though, because it turns out the word for world is forest, if you will. And the Athsheans aren't as animalistic as we think. In fact, we learned pretty quickly that they're actually Terrans. They're humanoid. They share a DNA line with us, and they were populated on this planet, I guess, by these aliens that they kind of refer to.
Yeah, this world has aliens, like not just humans, and these guys, they have a whole like intergalactic species,
right?
Like many aliens.
Right. And
humans are kind of like down on the totem pole.
And these guys are much more sophisticated, although, well, maybe they are more sophisticated because they're nonviolent. So they're much more sophisticated than we are. And the forest is their home, their habitat. It is to them everything. So they get a little miffed by the bulldozers. So it was written in 1972, the height of the Earth Day movement and, the beginning of the ecological movement. I was in high school at the time, and I very much remember that. And so it was very much, it's an ecological novel in a lot of ways. It's also about colonization. And it's about, how a certain kind of colonist, this captain that you hate so very much, who is in fact the narrator at the beginning, through much of it is the narrator, really is a classic kind of macho imperialist. Says, yeah, we're just going to take it. Well, who cares about them? And he's a bad guy. He is a bad guy throughout. Okay, I think that's enough of a spine to give people an idea of what the book is about and the general themes of it. Yeah.
And so I always like to find out how people felt about it. So Leo, you liked it. And what did you like about it other than it was short?
Like you, I had, at the beginning, a lot of anxiety about this captain who was she wastes no time in making him out to be a complete macho, bigoted jerk who is, by the way, at the same time, very confident in his beliefs. Very, he is right and he knows what he's doing, to the point where he ultimately mutinies against the military authority because he says these guys are pussies.
I mean, does it remind you of anyone? Like
nobody I know.
I'm like, wow, Ursula, so good.
Well, that's why I liked it, because it's very contemporary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Despite the fact that it was written in 72.
It kind of gives me some insight into the mind of our current president. Not that I needed that, but I was here.
Well,
for
he's
it.
also Oliver North, right? He's a type of military guy we always have known. He's a General Patton. He's tough, he's rough, and he shares a common belief that humans. I wonder, was she? She was an animal rights advocate, I'm going to guess.
I don't know if she was. She was definitely a civil rights activist.
Yeah. This is my first.
She is a feminist.
Mine too.
Yours too? Well,
yeah, amazingly, I've never read anything from her before. I don't, not for any reason. This was just the first one I read.
I think I got A Wizard of Earthsea, which is her little, I got that when I was like in 5th grade, like 10 years old or something. And it was actually one of my first science fiction books, which I think it is for a lot of people. Yeah. Because a lot of people probably get something terrible like Stranger in a Strange Land. And then they're like,
this is the antithesis of that. Completely the opposite of it. And that in a way, and I bet you too, Joe, for my teenage Leo, who, this is the 70s. I didn't want to read fantasy. I wanted hard sci-fi. I wanted Heinlein. And
it was the same for me.
Yeah.
I'm still not the biggest fantasy swords and sorcery type. Like I'll read it, but I don't gravitate towards it. So yeah, I was big into Asimov and just where it was like robots and laser, typical young man, stupid stuff.
This is sci-fi because we're on another planet and there are other alien races and so forth. But it is not hard sci-fi. There's no science at all in it. There's no. Well, there is. There's an Ansible.
There's,
which really serves more as just a plot advancer than anything else. But most of it could have been, anywhere. She wrote it in the introduction of the 1976 edition. First of all, she was going to call it Little Green Men, which might have given away a crucial plot point, which is that these are not apes, but they are green. She said that she was concerned in the introduction of the 76 edition, I'm reading from Wikipedia, at the exploitation of the natural world by humans, particularly in the name of financial gain, this is definitely a fable, about that with a moral and all of that.
If only we could look back and say, luckily it didn't work out that way. You were wrong. We didn't keep doing it.
Well, as I was saying at the beginning, I like Stacey, I was like, oh, this is not going to end well. But then I had faith. Well, knowing what I know about Ursula K. Le Guin, it'll have a happy ending, and it does, but in not a predictable way. I would say. You don't think it's happy?
Well, I guess it depends on how you feel about the loss of innocence.
Oh, good point.
I mean, so I guess I'm like, oh, I would rather them not have to make these really like basically they've had their moment. They've left the garden basically, and now they're going to have to. They know that this level of violence can achieve things and get things, and they have been exposed to it. So then what becomes of them? So I don't think it's necessarily happy.
No, it definitely does feel like it's a group of people who have lived a sheltered life and have not had to do anything because they were able to be in this paradise. I mean, it is literally expulsion from paradise. I mean, the Selver, is that the name's the character?
Yeah, Selver.
Selver. That is probably the saddest thing in the whole, because he becomes the god of death, which is just this weight on him, and everybody's just like, okay, you're the god of death now, and he's sitting there going,
"Oh, you're talking about Captain Davidson, the guy, the captain."
No, the character part, the native. Oh,
Selver, yeah.
They deign him to be the god.
He's a god. Although God has a weird meaning in the Creechy.
It does, but he has now this expectation that you're going to lead us to massacre all these people, something we generally don't do, because they talk about we generally don't kill anybody. We have insane people, but we treat them well. And now we have to go and murder all these people. Thanks a lot for bringing that to the planet. So it is, in many ways, a sad book. The ending does have a happiness in that the Terrans are repelled, or say they are. We never know whether that's really true. But they've lost all of that. The people have been completely changed by the intervention of outsiders.
Yeah. They were not violent.
Okay. I was like, did we read the same book? Am I remembering this wrong? We have someone waiting in the chat. Do we want to invite?
Should we bring him in? Sure. I think I have a button I can push to that effect.
I have no buttons.
There is Mr. Bob Grant. Hello, Bob. Hello. Thanks for your patience.
Yep.
You and Leo have the same tailor or same shirt action. Yeah.
Wait a minute, we literally do. Do you get those from Mexico?
I got them from your place.
I recognize the pattern. This is the new spring collection. I'm wearing succulents.
So that was a great recommendation. But yeah, I've read a lot of Ursula, and actually I've read this one a couple times now, a few times, and for the book club, and oh my, it in a way it was depressing to me. I mean, you say it's a happy ending, but it was a lot of the dominionism sort of thing, where we can do whatever we want to the to the earth because we're human and we're the main species, etc. I had to check, but it was actually originally put out as a short story in something 1972. So I think Vietnam and napalm stuff came
Yeah.
kind of hitting,
Yeah, we were still mired in Vietnam at the time. Yeah.
And,
although this was kind of a turning point year as the country started to say, we don't want to be in this war. So this was a very progressive year, I think, for America.
That is true. Then the just sort of the rape and the assumption that these what seemed like, well, actually I guess that was the thing, is a lot of people thought that the natives were not that smart and were not intelligent, and so they just put them down automatically because they didn't speak much. They ended up doing whatever people asked them to. And so,
although ironically, the Astheans, or Creechies as they were called by Davidson and his military crew, recognized us immediately as humans. They called us. They knew that we were from the same bloodlines.
Yep.
Even though we didn't. That's also telling, isn't it?
They seem to pity us too, because they talk about how humans can't exist in the dreaming without drugs.
Right.
Which, so in a way, thinking the Terrans think they're superior. And meanwhile, the other side is sitting there going, oh, how sad. You all take drugs and you go insane and kill each other. What kind of life could that be?
No, that's right. Because all of the Terrans are taking hallucinogens. They're microdosing hallucinogens, and the Astheans say, "Well, wait a minute. That's obviously they're disabled, and they have to use drugs to do what we do." I thought dreaming was very interesting because they dream when they're asleep, but also not when asleep, and certain of them are dreamers. And that's what a Selver is, and that's what a god is. Right, is somebody who can dream while awake.
That ties very much, I assume, back to the Aboriginal culture in Dreamtime and like the Australian.
Yeah.
And then I also thought, this was also when we were seeing the indigenous people all over, but in America too, rise up and demand their rights.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah. And it kind of, I don't know, it's a good book for showing people that science fiction does not have to be that you can have like literary themes. Not that some of our books have are a little more literary than others, but you can have big themes, and tackling them through this sort of thing is useful for people. Because I remember very much like when I would tell people I read sci-fi or fantasy, they'd be like, "Oh, you should really be reading the Russian novelists."
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I am. But, these stories also talk about human nature too.
Right. No, I think you're absolutely right. Yeah.
And
Bob, what else? You obviously like Ursula K. Le Guin. Sounds like.
Yeah. Yeah. I think she just has a great way of thinking about, things and so forth. So, I read a lot of her. I'm forgetting the one series of books. There is a series of books. I can't think of the name of it, but it's like a trilogy, or maybe there's 4 books. But it was these creatures underwater, like something of that sort. And it might be the Earthsea. It may be the Earthsea one, but
no, that's wizards.
I'm looking forward to reading a lot more of her stuff. Jammer B said, you haven't read The Lathe of Heaven? I said, no. So he said, well, that's I got the impression it was his favorite book of all time. I don't know if Jammer B's in the chat. He usually is for this. So I'm reading it now, and he's right. It's good, although it's a little dated. It feels a little like reading Heinlein or Asimov with some of the older fiction, but that's okay. I don't mind that. is she's a legend, right?
Yes, and she actually just put out, I feel like she put out a book or new intros to some of her books. Again,
Her father, I didn't know this, was an anthropologist at UC Berkeley. So some of this, it's interesting because one of the characters in this book is an anthropologist who actually, makes a dictionary of the Esthetian language, befriends Selver, and is very important to the whole story. So it's interesting that her father was an anthropologist.
That is probably the saddest part of the book for me, is the whole thing with that character and what ends up happening, because I would describe this book as very melancholy. I wouldn't necessarily call it depressing, but
no,
it definitely,
I agree. Yeah, it's not a happy-go-lucky book.
No, and it is interesting because there is just enough sci-fi to make it sci-fi. But I agree, it's definitely not overdoing it. So it does work. I think even for somebody who doesn't read a lot of sci-fi would be able to read this and get it and understand it.
It's political,
which is a tricky thing,
but it's caged in this. By the way, her mother wrote the very famous book about Ishi, who was the last of the Yahi people. And in fact, her mother and father, here's a picture of Ursula Le Guin's father with Ishi, who was an Aboriginal and was the last of his people. She and her mother wrote the book about Ishi. That's very famous. We read that in high school also. So this, to me, feels like a book that must have been very personal for her, because in a way, Selver is Ishi. It's about this, modern civilization meeting an ancient civilization, and what happens. So I think that this is probably was a very personal book for her.
I feel like there's a lot of the lack of empathy in what it does in this book. And that feels like it ties into, yes, if you understood a people who were being erased, if you were in the middle of a war where you were finding out that very unethical things were happening, if you were in the middle of civil rights and the struggle, you start to really get the value of empathy and what terrible people we become when we don't have it. Davidson is nearly comically villainous.
Yeah.
But when you understand that he just cannot possibly see value in anyone who doesn't conform to his worldview, it all makes sense. You can see why he's like this. And it's terrible, but it's just the reality of, if you can't empathize, you're on your way to becoming one of these people really quickly.
Yeah.
And in the end, he kind of almost becomes insane. I mean, he gets so wrapped up in it that it seems like he loses his mind, because there he is hitting one of his soldiers with a gun and holding the other one at gunpoint.
That's right. He almost goes mad. I mean, it's painted as if he's lost his marbles, right?
Yep.
Well, I think that's what happens he's kind of refusing to live in the reality that he's in. And once you start doing that, there's no place else to go. But I'm curious, because if you think about, this book is a response to the time, right? So worries about the environment, colonization, recognizing indigenous rights, right? Like, so you think about that. And then, like, if you look at Heinlein, that was a result of World War II, kind of split.
That's
and
charitable of you.
I'm going with it. And then you look at, like, I'm not sure what the 90s science fiction was about, but you look at the early aughts, we saw the reaction to climate change. So science fiction, a lot of our books, and I'm thinking about now, as we're entering in kind of like a very unsettling time. And also, climate change is now real. So we're seeing like I can't tell you how many books I pick up, and like, it's just an understood fact. Like, water is fine or hard to find, and all the birds are dead.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that with us.
Well, no, I'm just like, it's just a default. So I'm like, I'm eager to see what kind of books come out of like where we are now, which is in the midst of it. We know what climate change looks like. We're kind of coming back into this kind of, I would say, a little unsettling time in America, at least. And I'm like, ooh, I mean,
she's very timely now as a result, right? We're going through again what we went through in the late 60s and early 70s, up through Watergate. And there's a certain similarity to that. And she was writing in that era. She was very much a part of that era. She turned down. Let me see if I can find this in the Wikipedia article because it's kind of interesting. She turned down the National Book Award, I think it was. Let me see if I can find this or maybe it was a Hugo. Yeah, she turned down a Hugo because she was unhappy about how the Hugos had treated Stanislaw Lem because he lived behind the Iron Curtain, and they thought that was a terrible thing. Here's a quote from her. Oh, that's not it either. Let me see it. About the role of the writer in this modern world. And I think it shows how timely she is. She refused the Nebula Award. Let me get that right. For Diary
Keep going.
of a Rose. She refused that because the Science Fiction Writers of America had revoked Stanislaw Lem's membership. She said, I think hard times, this is in 1977, 5 years after she wrote this book. I think hard times are coming when we will be wanting the voices of writers who could see alternatives to how we live now and can see through our fear-stricken society and its obsessive technologies. We will need writers who remember freedom, poets, visionaries, the realists of a larger reality. That could have been written yesterday. She was of her time, but her time isn't so different from our time, I guess.
Well,
I think the 90s, Stacey, to answer your question, was a lot of anti-corporate. There was a lot of books that were anti-giant conglomerates like Neuromancer and Snow Crash, where it was like all the consolidation of power. And I feel like the modern science fiction is going to be, so many of these things are kind of all coming to a head now, that I think it's going to be kind of a blend of many of the larger themes put together. I don't know what that's going to look like because I'm not a writer and I'm not that smart, but that's what it feels like. Is at some point you're coming up to the wall. So now you have to write about the entire bus that's going to hit into it, as opposed to cherry picking, which I think was how a lot of it was done, is like one theme, but now it's everything because it's all interconnected, interrelated.
Do you guys, I would be very curious because Jammer B may have thoughts because I know he thinks about things like this too, are there examples of books that you think are indicative of the types of books that are going to come out of like the forefront of this new generation or response?
Well, look at Termination Shock, which we read.
That's
a lot of Neil
climate fiction,
Stevens
though.
stuff.
I feel like that. Like I almost thought The Third Body Problem could be it. And I looked at like Ann Leckie's stuff because she's looking at like AI consciousness. And then I thought for a hot second, we've not read this as a book club, but the Arcady Martine's books, they're the Texacali, they're set in space, but they're very political, kind of like The Expanse. Actually, The Expanse would be another example of like giant, like navigating many different polities and their demands and like social mores and trying to figure out how to all live together. And I thought that might be it, but I feel like that may not be it. So I'm just curious, anyone.
The Servant, what was it? Servant Model? Is that the name of the book with the robot? Am I misremembering?
Service Model.
The Service Model. That one kind of incorporates several of the big things because there is, the lack of empathy in the way that robots are treated. There's the climate change and as far as destroying the planet, the bureaucracy of an over-powerful kind of centralized governmental structure. There's lots in there. I don't know if I'd say it's a perfect example, but it's felt like it incorporated some of those bigger things. So that's the closest I can think of at the moment that has some of those modern elements put into it.
And it was funny.
Some of the modern fiction has done a lot around gender, which bringing us back to Le Guin, she was one of the first, I think, early ones to do that in some of her books, to do the sort of non-gender or non-binary.
Yeah, she had The Left Hand of Darkness. Humans had no fixed sex. I'm reading that because I haven't read the book, but I'm going to read the entire list. So
you have all these people like Stacey, you mentioned Ann Leckie, who does a real good job of that in hers, and then Becky Chambers, and I'm blocking on the one or two ago the one of the young kid that was going through time or through universes, but young girl or whatever, but there was also around gender.
A Wrinkle in Time?
No. Oh, this was a book club book? This was our Angry Walls book.
That's one.
Yes,
I missed that one.
Yeah.
Great book.
Yes.
So
When Le Guin won the Hugo Award for this book, The Word for World is Forest, she said it was influenced by her anger over the Vietnam War, which I think you could see, and explored themes of colonialism and militarism. She later described it as the most overt political statement she had made in a fictional work, which it seems accurate to me. I mean, it was clearly, addressing those issues.
Once I knew what year it was and when they were using flamethrowers, I jumped straight to Vietnam.
Napalm, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right away.
Yeah. Helicopters raining fire from the sky. I mean, it was very much a Vietnam era book. I felt it was positive because in the long run, it was the Terrans, it was the humans who said, hands off the Creachies. In fact, we're going to leave this world and leave you alone. And so I thought that was a positive ending. You're right, though, Bob. There's no guarantee. They just, basically, this administration is not going to mess with you.
Interestingly, I agree with you, Leo, from a different angle. The positive to me was that when people rise up, it doesn't matter how much of an empire you are. We're going to drive you out. So there is that,
that's
together,
true.
Collective action has an effect. So
in the jungle, right? That's this Vietnam thing, which is guerrilla warfare can beat the most powerful country in the world.
Oh my God, was that a terrible pun? They're monkey-like and it's guerrilla warfare, but guerrilla warfare?
I don't think so. I think only you made that connection.
Okay. Those migraine drugs, they're amazing. Zip, zip,
it's
zip.
Guerrilla warfare. What else? I find this
one interesting thing.
Yes.
It's funny because my visualization of what the Creachies look like was, if anybody remembers Ralph McQuarrie's first version of what Chewbacca looked like, that's the thing that popped right into my head, which was this kind of bug-eyed, hairy, kind of tall alien. And that's what I thought of, not monkey-like at all, even though I know they were furry and that's how they were describing them. But that's what I thought of. I kind of had that image. I was like, wow, that's a random one to just slot into my brain.
Green Shabbat. No, did you catch that they were green, or did that not? I mean, sometimes authors will describe things so clearly, and I'm like, nope, that's not what they look like. In my head, they're this.
I just saw about 3 foot tall green monkeys is what I thought, but and that's just what I thought. They were pretty humanoid, I think, except for their size and their green fur.
Were they green because they had moss growing in their fur?
No.
I pictured sloths.
Oh, good. I like
green,
sloths.
maybe,
The green, Ewoks, but with like sloth fur. But I mean,
that's interesting.
Apparently, brains are real weird.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say.
We know that.
By the way, I think my favorite thing in the whole book was when Selver comes out and Davidson says, "Who told you to do this?" And he says, "My wife told me to do it." And I went, "Oh my God, this is going to be a great book." Because I'm like, I'm on board, man. Kill them all. If they do that to your wife, go get them. Like, I'm right there. So that was the best moment of the book for me, where I was like, oh, I know where this is going and I'm on board for it. Let's go.
Yeah. So she was willing to be very explicit in her political statement on this. It wasn't couched at all. I mean, it was pretty clear what she was talking about the whole time, if you ask me.
Well, and I think about all the science fiction I read, and obviously this was before, like this came out before I was born, but I'm still pretty old. And I think back and I'm like, now people are pretty obvious when they're writing books. Was that just not the case? Like, this did not feel like...
No, you'd be much more crypto about this, because...
Cryptic.
I was thinking crypto. I was like,
not crypto or cryptid.
You'd be more hidden in your politicity. Well, also because people who are writing fiction don't want to be seen as writing political tracts, right? But I think she was so angry, is my sense, that she said, "No, I'm going to write a political tract. This shall not stand." It felt like to me.
Yeah, a lot of older stuff feels more, we're talking in metaphor and not as explicitly, like the imagery isn't necessarily as direct. Like I said, the thing with the flamethrower in that year, I don't know how anybody wouldn't make that connection. And that's very, very clearly visually explicit. Whereas, in the past, it might have been they loosed sonic bombs
Right.
that made their hair stand on end and singe, and then you wouldn't necessarily.
In a way, it made it feel like anachronistic because it's like the future. Don't they have something better than that? Don't they at least have lasers? Actually, I think they did have lasers, but that's another story.
Yeah, they did have lasers.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm thinking about like colonist on a planet kind of tropes, and I'm thinking about, you can't get back to your mother, like the mothership is too far, there's no help, you're all on your own, and then you're also stuck in different quadrants, probably far from other people, and like how that kind of drives your storytelling. And I'm like, oh, I'm actually just realizing that these are all tropes. Wow. I am not an aware reader, apparently. I'm like, oh, wait.
Oh, I'm glad you said that because I'm such an unaware reader. I feel like I feel real imposter syndrome when I come to these book clubs.
This is what book club's for me. I'm like, I'm talking about it. I'm like, wait a second.
Hold on. Now I get it.
It's because we don't talk about science fiction in book class or in book class.
No.
English class.
Yeah.
Let's see.
No, it's all Hemingway.
Bob, you remember this era, right? You're about my age. I think you remember the early 70s pretty well. I was in high school at the time, and this is exactly how stuff was in those days. And I could feel her anger through it. Even if I didn't know it was written in 1972, I kind of knew.
Like just so political?
Yeah, it was just highly political. I mean, just as you say, Joe, it was like, that's napalm. She's writing about napalm.
Yeah, I actually felt like there was a connection between this and those beyond the wall. The one, with the monster truck full of blood in the tires.
Yeah,
which and then there is that connection there where, and I really love the fact that it's there because people like to say, oh, there's no politics in art. Well, all art is politics, really. It is. It's just what level and how explicit it is. So I think again, the thing that was impressive to me was it was written in a way that I don't think that people who necessarily disagreed with some of those politics would instantly stop reading it. It wasn't so overt.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you couldn't pretend that what was going on in there did not have modern parallels.
The fact that the story begins with Captain Davidson from his point of view almost makes you feel like it's okay to be like that, right? She's not writing Captain Davidson as a evil external character. You're in his head
at first, because
even at the end when he goes crazy, you're in his head.
Well, by the end, he's clearly so far beyond the bend you cannot possibly think he's right. But in the beginning, I'm sitting there going, he said like a couple things. I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of a retrograde way to refer to females. Okay, but maybe it's just the times. And then he just
that's what I thought.
Stacking, and I'm like, oh no, this is basically a Bond villain. Okay, got it. I know what this is now.
No, I thought at first, oh well, here we go again, reading a Heinlein-ish. But then I knew that Le Guin was a feminist, so I knew there was something going on here.
And Stacey would never.
recommend a Heinlein book. So there. Yes.
The other interesting part about Davidson that I liked was that you could almost feel there were like concentric circles where he was like, well, everybody's got to agree with me. Oh, okay. It's just the higher ups that don't agree with me. The people on the ground agree with me. Oh, okay. There must be traitors. So it's the people who've been with me that agree. And you just keep seeing the circle getting smaller till it's just him. And even then he can't possibly entertain that. Maybe he was wrong. No, there is no wrong. Everybody's stupid but me.
Yep.
And I'm going to kill them all.
It's a classic narcissist.
Yeah.
Should we figure out? I should ask. I've kind of not been scanning this chat very well. I don't know if there's comments or things we should bring up here as part of. See, there's someone talking about unauthorized bread being today's conditions and fears. And yeah, Cory Doctorow is definitely.
Well, he's always going to do that. Yeah.
He's on the cutting edge.
He rips his stories from the headlines. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
What was
By the way, here's a thought from Spud You Like. More likely, Lucas based the Ewoks off the Ashians. Could be.
Wouldn't shock me.
Could be.
Oh yeah, because Star Wars was at
Later.
78.
Yeah, 77.
And Lucas
Later.
borrowed a lot of elements of Star Wars. He said it
Yeah.
himself, so it would not shock me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, almost all of Star Wars.
Quite a
Joseph
bit.
Campbell and others. Yeah.
And then let's see. Blah, da, da, da. All right. I was going to see. So I have some books for the next book club. But
Are we already at that point? Wow.
Well, we're at 48, and it
Yeah.
always takes us a hot second
Yeah.
to get through them.
And the thing is, the book doesn't have a lot of, like you said, it's not a lot of twists and turns and big surprises. It is a fairly simple, and not saying that negatively, but it's a fairly simple story. So, I mean,
yeah,
I highly recommend this.
Me too.
I just think it was very powerfully done and very effectively done. And if you understand that it is a political statement, it's very timely. And I think for that reason, it was a good choice. And it was a Hugo Award winner. So I always like to see that, you know.
the Hugos are this August in Seattle, I think.
Oh,
I think that's happening.
they're under a little bit of a cloud after the last
Yes,
ones
yes,
in China.
yes, they
So
are. That was
yeah.
a special thing.
yeah.
Okay, so I was trying to find something. Well, one, I wanted Leo. I want you to put a book in there because I never pick like your kind of books.
Oh no,
and
I don't. That's
is-
exactly why I don't want to put a book in there. The one time I did, which was the Bobaverse,
I was going to say we're like
such a mistake.
no, we're 3 books out from the Bobaverse. I can come like the point of reading with other people is you read different books and
statute of limitations expires at 3 books, Leo. You're fine.
Oh
yeah,
my god!
like, I'm over the Bobaverse. Yeah,
Oh,
we're good.
Which I loved,
And-
but I'm
and
going to read the Murder Bots. Did you like it too, Bob? Well,
Yeah.
of course you liked it.
It's funny. I mean, that's what made me, I just laughed. And actually, I should just say this real quick. My wife, who doesn't do any science fiction, listened to one whole Bobaverse while we were driving to Zion National Park across the
Oh, how
desert.
fun!
Laughed, and she thought it was great. But I guess listening to stuff, is okay. And
It's the only way I do it now, man. I just love listening. George Guidell reads the Lathe of Heaven. He's one of my favorite audible narrators. I just love his voice. He read, maybe if you wanted me to throw in something that wouldn't be offensive.
Bobaverse wasn't offensive. It was just, again,
It was just bad. I understand.
Well, no. My statement was, if you're gonna replicate a character a million times, he better be a likable character.
I
He
liked him. I'm sorry, but I liked him.
Well, there you go. See,
What's worse?
I was going to, have you ever read, and these are older, so do you only want to do new stuff?
I think science fiction is our only enveloping concern here. So.
Have you read the Piers Anthony Immortality series? On a
To
Pale
Ride a
Horse
Pale
was the
Horse?
first. Yeah.
Yeah, I have. They're very good. Are those science fiction? I would track those as fantasy.
Yeah, because they're
Okay, and I
gods.
also
Yeah.
do we all, if we bring Piers Anthony in, I have to bring up the horror show that is Xanth and how misogynistic that man is.
Is that
Every
a Piers
woman,
Anthony book? Xanth?
all their boobs bouncily, boobily. All of the women are like,
That sounds like Sanderson.
it's terrible.
Sounds like half the video games I played in the 90s, too.
How about Gaiman? How do we feel about Gaiman these days? We're maybe not so not such a fan of Gaiman these days either. Huh?
Did you guys ever do?
An hour on art and artist and separating the two, because that's where you got to debate that one.
Yeah.
I'm still in the middle of like separating those. I'm like, God, man, that's not, I mean.
It's too bad because I love Neil Gaiman's stuff. And I would very much like to separate the man from the art.
But again, I would call Gaiman more sci or fantasy.
Yeah, there's a lot of fantasy. Yeah, right. It's
Tends
not
to
really
be.
sci-fi. It's just great stuff.
I mean,
Maybe
this
I
is
do
a
like
struggle I
fantasy.
constantly have.
Maybe this whole time I've been thinking I was a sci-fi fan, and really I should just be reading more fantasy.
Yeah.
I've been in the wrong
possible.
genre the whole time.
We could start the Leo's or fantasy.
No,
book
this is
club.
Stacey's book club, and it shall remain Stacey's book club.
Okay.
So I don't
I'm
want to. I don't
poo-pooing
want
all of your suggestions here, and I feel bad about it.
You tell us what you had written down.
Okay, so I am going back. Sorry, I was scrolling through looking. I'm going to put this on here because
I have one audible
read
credit that I have to use up before the 22nd. So
you have to do it?
yeah, they expire. This expires on the 22nd.
Okay. This is like maybe not sci-fi, but it might be sci-fi. It might be fantasy. See, we're getting into this, but I really want to read it, so I'm going to make us.
I don't think we have to abjure fantasy. That's fine.
It's the Book of Elsewhere. It may be terrible. It's Keanu Reeves wrote a book with China. Is it Melville? Do you know?
Keanu Reeves?
I haven't read it though.
Okay. Oh, yeah. And the author that he worked with did.
So I'm thinking, all right, wait a minute now, just give me a moment. Whoa, I've got it.
You stop it. He's a national treasure, Leo.
I'm sorry, you're right. He's a national treasure. What was I thinking?
It's like, I like.
But is he a writer? I don't even like to read it.
Actual writer.
When Neil Gaiman uses somebody else, or William Gibson or Neil Stephenson uses somebody else, I want to read it written by one person. By the way, Neil Stephenson's newest Polistan, quite good historical fiction, not sci-fi, not even fantasy, but very good.
There you go. Well, I'm putting it on here because I want an excuse to read it.
Okay.
And I have no idea how it's going to be, you guys.
Whoa, Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves and China.
We don't need China. We just need Keanu.
I think you need China in this case more than you think.
Probably.
I think you want him writing it.
I think Keanu was the idea guy. I'm just saying.
Definitely.
Keanu Reeves, I know his characters are not.
No, he's a deep guy. No, he's a
but
deep
I feel
guy.
it. I don't know if he's all that deep, but he's at least a person who's trying to be a good. He's
trying to be a good person.
Who's trying to be a good person in the world.
No, I admire
At least he's
him.
not trying to be shallow. So give him that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he really genuinely likes to read science fiction. He's kind of like Henry Cavill, right? An actor who really actually enjoys geek culture.
And is one of the best grunters ever if you watched him in The Witcher.
Yeah. Okay. I can watch that man grunt all day long. I'm not going to lie.
I like this. Heroic something says his local book club is called Out of This World because it's both sci-fi and fantasy.
Oh, yeah. See,
Heroic
I like
Hitlet. I thought I almost misread that, so I'm glad I looked.
So did I. I was like, uh-oh. We're good.
And then I'm going to throw in The Death of the Author.
Okay.
Again,
who was the author of that?
By Nidi Okorafor.
Is this
N-E-D-I. She's Nigerian.
Okay.
Okorafor. And this book is, it's a story within a story.
Okay.
Part of the story is a little literary. The rest of the story is a robot uprising. Not a robot uprising. We'll just call it, just stick with robots. And she is also, there's a lot of Nigerian like culture bits in there that is really fun, I think, because it is this novel. Haha. So throwing her book in there because I really enjoyed it and it's fairly recent. And then let's see, what did I have? That feels, there's been this disturbing trend, you guys, where a lot of the science fiction or you know how like romantasy happened? So suddenly you'll be like, oh, I'm reading a book about dragons. And you're like, oh my God, I'm reading a book about dragons and other people doing things that I wasn't quite ready for. It's kind of moving a little into science fiction. So I've been picking up books lately that have like, I'm like, ooh, time travel.
Hot
cool.
sci-fi.
And then I'm like, it's a time travel romance. It's not necessarily
I do like time travel. We could do time travel.
Oh, yeah. I have a good time travel for us.
I love Connie Willis's stuff.
What did Connie Willis write?
Oh, a bunch of stuff. A bunch of time travel stuff.
Okay. Oh, I've got to go back to where did I put the time travel book? I'm sorry, you guys.
No, that's all right. Take your time.
This is where I get a little. I come with a list of books and then I'm like, ooh, what are we feeling today? Space time travel. And then I've got like lists.
How many books a week do you read? I think I asked you this before.
3 or 4.
Wow.
I read a book every 3 or 4 weeks. So I'm the inverse of Stacey.
That's probably right for me too. Yeah.
Okay. I
That's
think
funny.
this
We're
is
talking about a 70s book. I just started Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas again. And
That's a great book.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is a good book.
It's a great book, but man, oh man, does it whip your head around every 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh no, that time travel book is not for us. Okay. No. That's one of those. It's again not a smutty time travel book.
Heroic Hitlet says this is how you lose the time wars on my want to read.
Oh, that's a great book. I almost did a themed this is how you lose the time war, the once and future, no, not the once and future, the future timeline. There's like 3 books with time and once and future or something in there. But this
do we want to do this is how you lose the time war?
Yeah, I think we had it as one of our options.
Okay.
Okay, now this is how you lose the time war. Has time travel. It's like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
So we can have Keanu in this? Good. Good.
This would be the Keanu themed. I'll just have to figure out how to loop him into Death of the Author. But no, it's a really good. I enjoyed it, and it's fun and atmospheric. Not atmospheric. It's fun. I like it.
All right, who wrote that?
I would not pitch it as
Do we
science
know?
fiction. Oh, this is how you lose the time war.
I'll search.
This is how you
Amal
lose
El
the
Motar and Max Gladstone, according to the chat, if I'm pronouncing those correctly.
Amal El Motar. Yeah, that's right.
She has a new book out.
But you know what? Max Gladstone gets the big byline on the cover. So
Who's
maybe
Max
not.
Gladstone?
No, they're equal. Okay. Amal El Motar and Max Gladstone. This is how you lose the time war.
Yes.
This book
I've got
has it all, says somebody. Somebody probably famous since it's on the front page. But
whoa, slow down on the detail review, please. Don't go over there.
Yeah, she has a new book.
It has it all.
Called
An
The River
unlikely
Has
correspondence between 2 rival agents hell-bent on securing the best possible future for their warring factions. That's a great premise. All right.
It's going to remind. It's not as angry as the wall book the angry wall book that we read,
Ooh,
but it
that
has a
was angry.
similar kind of vibe.
Stacey, I'm going to make a suggestion to you as a possible consideration.
Hit me.
This white thing's going to blow me out. Oh, God. Look at a book called Theories of Flight. Or actually, that's the second book. Look at an author named Samuel Petrovich, Samuil Petrovich.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
a 3-book series. The first book is actually, sorry, I should have clicked on this first. Equations of Life. Just something you might want to think about. I enjoy these books.
Yep.
They are definitely sci-fi.
And Bob likes
Bob.
it too.
I'm not a lunatic. Thanks, Bob.
Should we put it in?
I read all
Let's
of them.
throw it
I
in
read-
there.
We can have 4 books.
You know that
Or we can.
utopian worlds that are really quite interesting. So yeah.
I really enjoyed those. I don't even know
Wait a
how
minute.
I
This is a
found
nonfiction book?
No. It's by Simon Morden. The main character is Samuel.
Oh, I got the wrong one. I got How Physics Shapes Evolution. That's the wrong one. Okay.
No, that's too smart for me. I need stuff dumber than that.
It's also the Equations of Life. In fact, that's a very popular
Yeah, techno thrillers. Oh yeah,
Samuel
I've been
Petrovich.
looking for techno thrillers because I haven't been finding any that like they're too there's a lot of
log in on there.
like action but no like real feeling behind a lot of them. Does that make sense?
This is a good one though. You like this? Let's put it on the list.
He's a bona fide rocket scientist.
Yeah, he is.
Books
Yeah,
by
yeah.
rocket scientists.
As a scientist. Yep.
Nice.
I'm a huge fan.
300.
I once played Jeopardy against Watson and a rocket scientist. I was
You
like,
did?
"God, why am I here?" Yes, it was at the Computer History Museum it was like
fun.
an IBM event.
Oh, fun.
And I was just like, you are a literal rocket scientist. You are an artificially intelligent computer. And then there's Stacey. Hi.
And who won?
Oh my God. The first category was like anagrams. I was like,
I was so
You
hoping
shouldn't-
you'd say waffles.
Watson
I was so
can't-
hoping you'd say waffles.
Waffles,
The
you'd
first
have a
was
great
waffles.
time with.
waffles,
Yeah,
I would
amazing.
have a chance. But anagrams against a computer?
No, against a computer, that's
It was like state capital anagrams. Watson
So I
versus
have
Pipe.
4 titles, which I think is enough
That's plenty.
for our balloting. The Book of Elsewhere by Keanu Reeves, The Death of the Author by Nidhi Okorafor, This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amar Al-Mawtar, and Equations of Life by Samuel Morton. Is that all? Is that good? Does that fit?
Yeah. I'm going to read them all.
Well,
Do we
that's what I found I've often done. Do you want to do a vote?
Yep.
Or how long? 2 weeks?
Yeah. Well, what was the original length?
I think Ant did 1 week, but no one's like, if you don't mention on shows, like they'll only have a few days.
Yeah, we
once
want to
get-
we want a representative number of votes. Otherwise,
Yeah, we'll do 2 weeks.
2
then
weeks
you can-
seems like we give it time, and I'll have to mention it on all the
Yeah.
shows. Yeah,
Ooh,
nice.
I'll socially share it on Blue Sky.
Socially
how
share it.
I don't know what your Twit membership overlap on Blue Sky is, though.
Well, everybody can vote on it.
If you're on Discord, yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean they could vote on Blue Sky. It wouldn't make any difference.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. I send people.
I'll put it. And I'll put it on my blog, and that way it'll go to Blue Sky. It would go everywhere: LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Mastodon, everywhere. And then none of them can vote. It'll be great.
No, you just put it at the end.
If you want to share your opinion on it.
Join Club TWiT.
Why not?
Why not? I will. I'll do that.
101. Throw it everywhere.
Okay. There's the poll Anthony has put the poll up. You'll have till June 1st to vote. Join before June 1st for your chance to cast your vote. Bob, thank you for being in the club.
Hey.
You too, Joe. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks you guys for
It's,
coming in and talking to us. This
yeah,
feels
thank
more
you
like
for
a real
joining
book
the-
club. The
Yeah.
more people.
It's much better. We could have, what's the total number of faces we could have on the screen? And we can have quite a few more.
10 in
10.
the studio. Yeah.
So we can have 10 in the studio. So everybody, next time, let's have 10 people so that Stacey and I can sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride.
It's like,
Did you
that would be nice.
Chambers?
Say it again, Bob.
Did you guys ever do Becky Chambers?
We did. Leo hated it.
Okay. All right.
I didn't
I
read
really
Becky
loved her
Chambers. I
Okay.
did
Yes, it
Becky
was
Chambers, but that was in high school. No, I didn't
a
read
long-
Becky Chambers.
A long way to a.
Oh, to a
Jordan-
dumb,
Small thing.
dark, stupid
Oh.
book. Yes, I remember that. It was too. It felt a little amateurish to me. It was too cozy, I think.
It was too cozy for you.
Yeah, I couldn't take the cozy.
Okay. That's fine. It's
But it
good.
was our book. It was the book, and I think
Okay.
people liked it. Everybody liked it. Just don't listen to me. I don't know nothing.
Well, I think that's why it's important to have different opinions.
Well, I have a
art is
different opinion,
subjective.
all right?
Yeah.
If everybody
Like-
agrees on a piece of art, I get scared of it. So I'm happy when people say, no, that sucked. You liked it. What's wrong with you? I'm like, okay, good. Good.
I mean,
That's how it should be.
Yeah, we all liked this book and we were kind of like, well, okay. Oh, I will recommend anybody who's a parent. I think it was one of the options, but Hum is a great book.
Yeah.
Like
Hum. What's it about?
It's about AI. It's about parenting in the near future.
Oh,
is
yeah,
what I
yeah.
would say. No, it's a really great.
I can read it for grandparenting and in the
That's
near future.
fine. I mean, and
Distant
you could read it
future,
even if
probably.
you're not a parent. You will still get things out of it. But I was like,
I agree.
really, like,
Spud Like Us says it for all of us. So many books, so little time.
see, I feel like I need more books. I need Jammer B just to like send me.
He wasn't here this week. There must be a Humphreys McGee somewhere.
I need him to send me his reading lists.
Somewhere
'Cause
there's an Humphreys being McGee'd. That was my favorite line in Between Two Ferns when Zach Galifianakis is interviewing Woody Harrelson. Or maybe it was Matthew McConaughey. And he says,
You're talking about Humphrey McGee, the band?
yeah, that's John's.
Wow, my co-host just brought that up to me and asked me if I'd ever heard of him. And I said,
Oh,
Nope.
you haven't talked to
That's
John
weird.
Slanina. Jammer B, like, he's dragged me to multiple Humphreys McGee concerts.
oh, my co-host is on me about it. And I was like,
He
oh, you gotta
follows
listen.
him
I'm
around
like,
every-
okay.
You know what? It's a jam band. So if you like Fish, if you like the Grateful Dead, if you like jam bands, it's a jam band. That's what it is. It's okay. I'm a lyric guy. I like stories in my songs, and I like them to be 3 minutes and 30 seconds long.
Oh, I was like, if you want stories, Slade Cleaves.
Slade Cleaves.
Very story-oriented gentleman.
I like
very
story
folk.
songs.
It's folk music, but a lot of stories.
Okay, so Music Club now is the next.
We should do Music Club. I need somebody who's hip and with it to tell me about new music. Definitely.
Well, I will not be going to that one, everybody. So
I was like, my recommendation was not hip nor with it.
But, Slade Cleaves. I'm writing it down anyway. Yeah.
He's an Austin singer-songwriter from like probably 15 years ago. He still sings.
It's a great name. Even if I never listened to it, I'll never forget that name now.
He's a great, if you're into that kind of music, it's great. Yeah. And his songs all have stories. They're all tragic. They're like, guy gets lost. Guy works in a mine. His wife finds out he's missing, but she's got like 3 kids. The kid goes to the mine.
I listen to one of my favorites is Guy Clark, who's also an Austin singer, songwriter, story-writer, and I'm sure they're buddies.
Blues is like.
I love Guy Clark.
The name sounds like a 80s Die Hard villain, so I'm already interested.
Slade Cleaves, secret agent.
So,
thank you, everybody. We appreciate it. Cyborg Knight says, I stumbled onto the live show on YouTube, but I had to go resubscribe to the club now that you took my suggestion. So that's why we took your suggestion. Thank you. And Ken Mack says, Tom Sawyer by Rush. Yeah, of course. I know that song.
Everybody knows that song.
I know that song. No, we should do a movie club. We should do a music club. I mean, those are all great ideas. What do you like? Would you like to do a movie club, Joe?
Oh, I'd be
can
on
recommend
top of
the boring, long Russian Tolyovsky directed.
Do you want something that will make you take up alcohol in a big way? Have I got a selection for you?
Depressing movies for 100, Alex. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Bob. Where do you live, Bob?
Southern Cal.
Southern Cal. Lisa says she votes for Movie Club. She'll join the movie club. Well, she's the boss, so I think we'll be doing a movie club next.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa.
I wonder if y'all could do like a watch party.
We did watch parties. We did them during COVID. We did one of Tiger King. Oh, God, that was kind of a nightmare. What was the other one we did? Did we not?
Metropolis.
Oh, we watched that silent movie. Yeah. Metropolis. Fritz Lang Metropolis.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it was silent, so that was good.
That is a movie.
Thank you, everybody. Again, the books that we're going to vote on will all be in the book club section on the Discord. And look, we have affiliate links too for Amazon for all of them. Thank you, Anthony.
And Murderbot tonight, the original book club book.
Murderbot
Apple
tonight.
TV.
That'll be fun. I can't wait to see that. It looks really fun. Yeah. Thanks, Stacey. Have a wonderful. It was great to have you on TWiT on Sunday. I hope we'll see you soon. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. So long.